Hello, hello. And let me transition. Here we are. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Had some technical difficulties. Oh, we're gonna turn that
Uh-oh.
other. Liza's got her other one rolling for chat reasons.
Just
and
checking. Sounds like the sound is good. Sound is good.
And I'm just looking at other options so when people don't have Facebook, what they can see. So
Hello, Anthony James Albert Sotelo. Do you go by Tony? Hey, Tony. We hear everything. Oh, okay, great, Corey. Oh, did you hear our other live video as well? Just a little chatter. Just a little chatter from the home office.
okay, cool.
Okay. So,
So just to start off, I will add, we were asked this morning, how does someone without Facebook get this information? One, the post Liza will go to in a minute has the materials we're going to go over, so they can reference that. But you can actually go onto Facebook with no account and get to a public group. I did it. I used to do it all the time to watch Liza before I finally signed up for Facebook. So tell your teammates or friends who don't have Facebook they can still go to. They have to do it through a browser. They can't do it through the app, and you'll just see something like this where you'll see it wants you to
oh,
sign up. Oh, of course it went away. Hold
yeah,
on.
that's not it.
Where it goes away. Sorry, with the lighting, it probably doesn't really work,
There.
but the
There.
point is, I'm in. I'm not logged in, and you can still see it. So
We also have a feed, our Facebook feed, on our website homepage, so you can scroll down to the bottom and take a look at what's going on our Facebook there.
and even after the fact, those same people who don't have Facebook can go on and look at the video because it'll be up there.
Yes. So
Okay, with that, I say
let's
we get going.
get started. Let me go to our meeting page and transition here. Okay, can you still hear us? Ooh, you might be hearing two of us because I got a couple mics going on here. Hold on, I'm going to turn. Wait a minute. I'm going to turn this one off. Okay. Just comment if there's a sound that's not good or whatever, and we'll see if you guys are good with the sound. Okay, so we're starting on this page. This is actually our this is the web version of the APA app. So if you guys have the League app downloaded on your phone, this is similar to what you see, but it's not a mobile version. It's a web browser version. And so when you bring it up, you'll see the highlight here is league.poolplayers.com/San Diego/news. And that's going to take you to all of our different news blasts and news announcements that we make on here, which you should turn your notifications on for that, just so that you know what's going on. You'll see our rules of the week, blah 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 blah. But I am going to take you to our blast announcements, which is right here. So let's go into there. And in here, we are going to be talking about this right here, which is our event guide. So we put an event guide out there, so you guys can all click on that if you're in this news blast, and you can follow along, or you can look at our meeting, or you can share this with your players, and so that they can come in and you can view this event guide at any time. It's just a public link to a digital file, pretty much a digital event guide booklet thing. So
Yeah, just know going forward, this is going to be our plan. The last live meeting we'll run is for the regionals, singles regionals coming up in March. But going beyond that, we've got approval to move to virtual as well. We just couldn't get the information in time to put in the flyer that's going to go out to players. So it'll be that one. And this will help a lot of things. We know players aren't always there at the time we start the meeting. The second round comes in, people aren't listening. People want to practice, and if we stop people for 5 or 10 minutes, we're taking their practice time, whatever it may be. So we're going to go to this virtual. Plus, you have time to share with your teammates. You know they may not be listening or there, and you don't remember everything we say. So this is just an easy way to go through it.
All right, so let's start with this. Like, where are we? We are. Well, we're here. We're home. But where are you going to be? So how do you get to Vegas? And this is kind of just a quick view if people don't quite understand the picture about how to get to Vegas. And so we kind of drew a little roadmap here. And so you guys all did your weekly team play. We do have 3 sessions of play, which is step 1. And if you win the playoffs or the division, then you are in the blast, which is what we're talking about here. So if you win the blast, then you'll move along on the road, and you'll see that in our last slide. So you are here at step 2, our blast. Here's our schedule of events for this weekend. 8 Ball will be on Saturday. Doors open at 10 both days. 9 Ball on Sunday. The only difference here is starting
Yeah, it's
and then
there. We
9
did it,
Ball.
we actually did it last time, but we just, for the second time, we're pointing it out, which is we're going to start at 10:30 versus 11. But these times were pretty similar to the last one. We just pulled in the official first round from 11 to 10:30, and we're going to keep that going forward. Additionally, check-in is not required. There's no need to check in. If you're not there and we call your match, you'll have your grace period and then you'll forfeit. So
No players meeting because this is it
this is
right
it.
now.
Yep.
And then, of course, 9 Ball's runs a little shorter, so we are starting the second round for 9 Ball on Sunday at 3 o'clock. 8 Ball's 3:30 for the second round. And then you can also go in here and you can link to these brackets. Let me see. Where does this take us?
9, we can't control second round tables. Sorry, it's too tough with teams coming in and out. You can certainly ask us around the time, but it's just too hard to do that ahead of
I
time.
don't know if this link is working. This link should actually take you, I'm going to switch back over to here. This link is going to take you back to the news blast. So if you just want to go into your app and go to the news, you'll see these brackets here where you can see your team and see who you're playing and when you play. And rosters aren't out yet.
No,
right?
rosters come out. So on the website, if you go there, go to the link up above.
This?
Nope,
This?
right there. Yep. We always put the timeline, go down a little bit and you'll see it. So right there, you can see roster will be posted by end of day tomorrow.
Okay. So there you go, if you were wondering. Okay, so anyway, those are brackets. I'm going to go back to our little guide here. And are we good here?
Yep.
Good here.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. These are some announcements that Lila usually does before the start of the tournament. And so we just want to make sure that, and you know, if you've never played at Pockets or forget the rules, here they are. We are going to have this back door closed so that people aren't opening it and be blinding all the players that are shooting.
If you're by the back door, don't open it for someone knocking.
Right.
They can go around.
Right. Respect the old pipes. They're old, and we don't want flooding and all of those things. And so make sure that you're flushing all the way.
Okay. We'll move on. No smoking within 25 feet of the building. No outside food or drink. Obviously, if Pockets has an approved vendor, that's the exception to the rule, but otherwise, no outside food or drink. No drinking in the parking lot is alcohol. You will be 86th and therefore out of the tournament, and so don't do that because we will side with the host location in a heartbeat. This last one, I think there's many announcements throughout the event because it seems like people still park there. So please tell your teammates, do not save the puppies, save
Franco,
the kittens.
make sure
more the puppies than the kittens.
We save the animals. Yes. Thank you, Franco. Good here?
Yeah.
There's also just a little blurb here about, limited seating and, just be courteous to the teams that are actually playing on a match at that table. If you're not and you see that they don't have a seat or whatever, then, maybe
Yeah,
you
and
can
to
set
that,
up
if you're a team taking up all the seating for a table, you're taking up 2 tables by your table and the other team has nowhere to go, we're going to ask you to free up a table if it's brought to our attention.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to assign seating, you guys can figure out where to sit, but it's just kind of courteous. Common courtesy. Okay. Here we go. So this is these are more about eligibility, and then we'll get more into the tournament rules. So if you're going to be playing in this event, winners are going to go to cities. If you're going to be playing in this event, you have to have your memberships current. I know that Scott has made a couple announcements to everybody. You may have seen your teammates drop off a team if they are not paid by week 4, which we are now in for everybody.
But this also goes beyond that, because some people have people on their rosters from the end of fall session that aren't currently continuing in the APA. They still have to be paid. This data goes back to the APA, and if we send that data back with an unpaid player, it could end up in a disqualification. So we just won't allow it, so we don't have to get to that point. So if you have a player who's on your roster and is not paid, they will not be able to play. So get that solved ahead of time. And ideally, they pay directly, because if that's immediate versus trying to pay us or sending check or money order, won't make it in time, and they won't be able to play.
Okay. Skill levels, as we said, the rosters will be posted tomorrow. And skill levels are not going to be discussed at the event. So if you have a skill level complaint, you can bring it to us, and it's something that we can review, but we're not going to be discussing skill levels at this event.
Correct.
You
Right.
will need, so when the rosters are posted, you will see any ineligible players. So if they don't have 4 session matches with your team, they won't be eligible. And if they don't have 6 total matches. So when you get to cities, you have to have 10 matches in that format to have an established skill level. But in the blast, you can have 6, and your skill level will be reviewed a little because you're not quite established, but you are allowed to play with 6 lifetime matches.
Right. And then your roster, we get this asked, is probably the number one question we get asked. What is the roster for the blast? It's the session ending roster. So however your team ended in the fall in this case, that's the team that'll show up on that roster minus the eligibility and marking for the ineligibility. For example, Jane Doe left, not allowed to say John Smith anymore, I agreed after the last meeting. So Jane Doe left your team at the end of fall, was still on the roster, isn't on your spring team, but Jane Doe will show up on your roster for the blast. However, somebody new to your spring roster will not show up on that.
Yeah, and we are going to have ineligible players on there because you can use those as part of your 23 rule, which you can't do at cities. So ineligible players cannot participate in cities, but ineligible players in the blast can be counted towards your 23 rule. Of course, you have to forfeit that match because they can't play, but if you need to use them as part of your 23 cap, you are able to in the blast.
But they cannot participate, they cannot coach, they are officially not on that blast team from an eligibility perspective, so keep that in mind. Most people don't ever use this rule for the forfeit because the forfeit's pretty harsh. So
okay, let's go to the rules.
It's single elimination, 1 round. You'll see on the brackets. I'll go back to that first one I already missed, but not all scenarios. So let me rewind. Sorry, it's just kind of the order. We're getting used to this flow, so apologies. So not every rule is going to be documented. This is true in regular league. This is true in blast, cities, you name it. Even the APA says the same thing nationally. So in those cases, we'll make the final call, but there may not always be a case where we can reference a written rule. So just keep that in mind. We do our best to try to document as much as we can, but it can't always be the case. The single elimination, so you're there for one matchup, either in the morning or the afternoon. You win, you go to cities, you lose, you go home. That's basically it. And then as Liza has here, she has, if you get to 8 points or 51 based on 8 or 9 ball, or the other team mathematically cannot catch you, feel free to grab your referee to confirm if you have reached that point. In the end, how the score gets entered as well will actually be legitimate. So if you counted wrong, sorry, it'll be how it's entered into the system. Official OTM and bylaws are in place for blast. That's not true. Bylaws are not in place for cities, but they are for the blast and the OTM. So you guys should know that, and that's the rules we'll defer to. Common players, again, it hasn't really happened in the blast for given how the structure is, but it could happen.
It could happen, and this is really more for teams that are playing against each other. So if you are on both teams and you're playing against each other in a matchup, then as a common player, you have the choice to sit out or pick a team. But if you pick a team and the other one wins, then you don't advance with them.
Right.
So
And make sure you're talking to your common player, because if they're off on another table playing, you can't post them. You know, if you post that player outside of breaking the 23 rule, you can't repost and it'll be a forfeit. So be in line with your player.
now this last thing here is actually more about common players who may be playing in two different matchups. So if that's the case, then you can't.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, they're at another table playing a match, and now I post that player.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be sure what your player's doing. You can't go, oh, I didn't realize it. So communicate with your own
gotcha.
teammates, find out if they're on another team playing at the same time, and make sure you know when they're playing. Because if they're already put up on another match, they cannot be posted in yours. And if you do so, that's a post and could lead to a forfeit.
Our match time guidelines. We are going to have referees on hand to try to keep things flowing a little bit here, but you can click on this link. I'm going to go to it right now. And this is actually match time guidelines for the World Qualifier, but it's really all the same. This is in the OTM as well. So 20 seconds for an average shot, only 1 minute timeouts, and only 1 minute to select a player. So when you're posting, that used to be 2 minutes, but it's really just 1 minute. Continuous play, that's like a couple minutes you got to keep going. You know, we don't wait for a 15-minute grace period between matches. That's not what continuous play is.
Right.
Okay, so let me go back to here. Sudden death, and then again, the referees will kind of be keeping you on track here and make sure that if we do hit these marks, that you are going to be playing all of your subsequent matches as sudden death. And so sudden death in 8-ball is 2 wrecks, 9-ball it's double scoring, and we can go over that if you cross that bridge.
Right.
1 timeout per player per rack, regardless of your skill level.
And the same rule you guys heard a million times over, but it's an important one. If the player asks for a timeout and you deny it, it's not a timeout. But if anyone on your team suggests a timeout, it's a timeout, so you might as well use it.
Yeah. You can reject your player if they ask for one.
Yep. All right, senior skill level, this is all normal stuff, regular league, playoffs, blast as well.
Yeah, this didn't used to be a rule in 8-ball, so now it is. You can only play 2 players that are 6s and 7s. You can't play 3 6s. Obviously, you can't play 3 7s or you'll be forfeiting. But yep.
Perfect. Forfeits are. You'll be forfeiting with 3 7s, which are 3 points, or 20-0. So it's unlike regular league where it is 15-0 and 2-0. Playoffs and blast and higher are all 3-0 and 20-0. So keep that in mind. No earphones, hearing aids, and non-electric earplugs are allowed. Everything else is not allowed for this event. Referees are there to help out in many ways, rule clarifications, etc., and watch shots. As we always say, don't wait till your player's down, ready to shoot. You can look at a table and see something that might be a concern. You can say, hey, if you're going to shoot that there, obviously in 9-ball it's more obvious what you're going to shoot than in 8-ball, but you can tell them ahead of time, if you're gonna shoot that, I'd like it watched. You cannot point to a referee and point to the table like, watch this. The player shooting must be aware that you are having the shot watched. Practice tables will only be available in the morning, and as far as the second round, even if a table looks open, it's not available if we're running the tournament until we return it to the host location and they officially open up and start renting the tables, at which point they can rent them. So if you don't want the table next to you having somebody on it, then you feel free to rent it. But that second half of the day where we might be only down to 1 or 2 matchups, we're still not allowing practice to interfere with those teams ending their very critical, likely sudden death matches. So there'll be no practice at that time until we release the tables back to the host location. Good sportsmanship, pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Be good,
be nice. I'm gonna wait. I think this. Oh my goodness! Look at those little things. Okay. Oop. I can't get to that link.
maybe.
Anyway, that link really, that right there, website really just goes to. I'm gonna go back here. It goes back to this again. Like if you wanted to just, here it is again with the minimum matches, blah blah blah. You'll see the brackets here, and you will see the rosters tomorrow. Let me go to the next page. Oh, how to keep score. So we are not yet using electronic scoring, so we do have to go back to our paper. We do have to go back to our paper and remember how to keep score on paper. So you've got to tally your innings.
It's what they are working on next, and we're hoping for the spring blast we will have it, but it could be the summer blast before we do.
Right, right. And so, as Scott mentioned, if you don't know if you won yet, because you only have to go up to 51 points or 50 and if you win 3 matches, but, just make sure that you know what is going on there. Because even if you turn in your paperwork, if you play all 5 matches and the score shows 50-50, but it was actually 51-49, that's what the score is. So that's what we're going with, not whatever you signed if you added wrong.
Right, correct.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, so at the end, if you don't finish a match, you've gotten to your points, then just put DNF right where you have your innings totaled, and then we will enter that score appropriately.
Yeah, complete your score sheets because we're going to send you back anyway, so you might as well get them complete. Innings, all the other stuff. That
Defensive shots,
Right.
all that good stuff.
Totals, so on and so forth.
Player numbers, that's a good one. That's an important one.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your player numbers on there because, and the correct player numbers because we don't want to be playing putting a player down, entering a player that didn't actually play the match.
Right.
Some people are dyslexic when they're entering their player numbers.
That'd be me.
Okay. Next up. So, we got some breaking news to share with you. We are going to be sending 9-ball teams to Vegas. So I believe it has been only 4 over the past few years, or maybe ever. But this year we have enough teams to send 5 9-ball teams to Vegas. So 5 8-ball teams, 5 9-ball teams. If you win the blast, you will be going to cities. So here's our next stop on the road. So you already did weekly play. This weekend you're doing the blast. And then if you win this blast, you will be going to cities, which is here. It's going to be in June. 8-ball's the first weekend in June. 9-ball is the second weekend in June. So if you win this weekend, just make sure your team is not on vacation in June.
Yeah, so there's another big point to this. So we've got questions, which makes sense. The APA allows roster changes for cities qualified teams up until week 4. Once week 5 is posted, cities qualified teams can no longer change their roster, including dropping players. It's pretty hardcore. If you read the OTM, they're very clear about it. So what do you do in a case where you run a blast after week 4? We are allowed this exception. So the February, at the very bottom you'll see here, Friday, February 9th by 10 a.m., all teams that win the blast need to have any and all roster changes back into the league office. Text or email. We need a trail of a time as well to be able to show the APA that it met the requirement.
That's this
You
down
don't
here.
have 10:01. You don't have sorry my email crashed. This is this exception's a limited window. You have many days after the blast, so you should be thinking about it now and assume if you win, will you be making a change and make sure you just get it in. That's the best thing to do. Any questions, we're happy to answer it at the event or after, but keep that in mind.
That's spring rosters.
Right.
Your now roster.
Again, February 9th, 10:01, we will not make the change.
You're stuck.
You are stuck.
Happy to be stuck
Yeah.
with them.
Happy to be stuck with them, okay? All right.
Yes, it's true. I am happy to be stuck.
Okay.
Okay. Awards. So we are going to have our awards set up with our director of award distributions, our daughter Brooklyn. She'll be helping out, giving out all of these different awards, MVPs, division winner trophies, playoff plaques, patches. Um, we will have, wait, what's,
Well,
payouts.
Yeah, so before you go to that though,
Okay.
we're not set up right when we walk in, right? So we will make an announcement when we're ready to do all this, hand out plaques, patches, etc. Usually it takes us anywhere, we're getting better, but half an hour to an hour, so probably 11ish. But we'll make an announcement. So when you guys first walk in and you see us, we're not ready to hand out any of these things
Yeah,
at
we're still
that
setting
time.
them. And then we'd love to get your team photos. As you know, I'll have a little thing set up at the 9 foot table. So just bring your team over there so we can recognize you guys on our Facebook page. All the winners.
One thing to remember, it's happened a few times, we will not have the 9 ball trophies and plaques. You can pick up anything you earned for 9 ball as far as patches, MVPs, perfect sessions, milestone awards, etc. But you can't pick up your trophies and plaques on Saturday. We will only have those on Sunday.
The division and playoff winners, that
Correct.
is.
Right.
And then I want to talk about payouts. So I'm going to go over to our news blast again. Oh, no, wait.
Yeah,
Not this one.
that's fine.
Well,
You're fine.
well, so I'm going to just go back one here. So if you look at our news, this is our news right here, our news tab right here. Back in December, we did announce all of our division and playoff winners here. So you'll see all of the teams listed here. So you guys should know if you won any money. Let's see. Oh, and those are blast qualified teams. But at the top here, you can request an electronic payout here. Hold on. So you just email us, include your team name and number and the method of payment. And this is captains. Captains need to request this. It can't just come from anybody on your team. But also, if you are requesting an electronic payment like Venmo or Zelle, then we ask that you also include in your email request your Venmo login or that QR code, because it's a lot easier for me to just scan that and send that to you, because we know for sure that we're sending it to the right account.
Right.
So to up until today, I believe we probably have a little over half of these winners who have requested payouts. So if you have not and are wondering where your money is, or if you do have a Venmo account and you want your money today or this week before the blast, then go ahead and get those emails in.
But if you didn't know this is why you have notifications on, because once
Yeah.
in December, soon after this was posted, we started sending money out. There are limits both on Venmo and Zelle, so Liza will let you know, hey, we tried, but we may have to wait a day, or two, or a week. There's different limitations.
Yeah.
But it's important to know this stuff, and you can't just say, hey, you have my information already. That doesn't work, because we want to make sure we don't incorrectly pay the wrong person. So even if you always use a path or think we should have this already, you still have to do this for this particular payment, so we actually protect your money and make sure it gets to you.
Yes. Let's see. And then if you don't do any of this, then we'll have a check for you at the blast,
Right.
a written check
Right.
that you can deposit.
And again, if you don't use those, but you would like to have gotten something early, you can send us something written to pay someone else. But it must come from you, the captain, indicating to pay someone else who does have a Zelle or Venmo account if you don't and you'd like it ahead of the blast. So, just an option.
Okay.
All right.
And I think that is the end of our meeting. Woo!
Yes.
30 minutes on the dot. Sweet.
We'll open it up for about 2 minutes max of questions. And
can't
again,
see
they
the-
should be blast and worst case cities questions. Regular league stuff, contact us offline.
I can't see. Do you see comments? I don't
Yeah,
see
see right
comments.
here.
Okay. Oh yeah, you can even see who's watching. Hi everyone.
All right, we're not seeing a
Yay,
response, so I think
Jasper.
everybody is good. Again, this will be out there to review later. Please send this, forward it to your teammates. As I mentioned in the beginning, you do not have to have a Facebook account to look at the video. Yeah, but you have to do it through a browser. It'll complain for a minute, and then it'll let you see the video. And the link, as Liza went to, maybe you can go back to that one more time. The member services post on the blast.
This?
Yeah, go back to the main news. blast link there. This has the brackets, has the web page for the blast, has the time schedules. We'll eventually have the rosters by end of day tomorrow, and at the top it has the information we just went over. So point your teammates here, have them look it over. Feel free to contact us with any questions that you have. Corey, you can send us an email and we'll see what we can do. No guarantees. Okay. All right,
Okay.
everybody. Have a good day, and we'll see you this weekend. Bye.
Bye.